So if your site is using the revolution slider, back in the WordPress dashboard, you'll have an admin menu item that says slider revolution. And when you click that, that will take you to your list of the sliders that are being used by your site currently. You can go into one that's already been, that you're currently using, or you can create a brand new slider that you want to use somewhere on the site. You can also add a slider from some template items that they have, where you can just kind of set up, like a template, and then you can adjust it the way you want it. Most of these are premium templates, so you can go to the free ones, and then you're able to import them. You can check them out like this. You can kind of preview them before you put them in. So that one's pretty cool. Got some like image gallery kind of thing. I just put in this one, this hero. It's called a hero, where it's like a large image and some like large text. They got like a sports one here that you can just, and these you can just import them right into your Revolution slider, and then you can adjust, the text, the images, and all that kind of stuff. And so what I did was I did that for this one. It's called YouTube Hero. So to edit that, we want to click on the image. We'll go into there, and the number one, where it says number one intro, that's the first slide. And if we scroll down, we can see that they're using a YouTube video as the background. So like where it says YouTube video ID, and that's the ID of the YouTube video. And if we preview this, we can kind of see how they have it set up. See what, where's the preview? Here it is. We'll preview this, see how they do it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Stuff kind of pops in there. Got the video going. Okay, so you kind of see that with that template, you can see how it works. You can come down here and see, like, here's an icon that they have in there, some text. If you click on any of these, there should be different information that pops up here at the top, and this is how you can edit this stuff. So for like the title, come up here, click the little pencil. There's the text for the title. So you can put in a new title, or if we want it all caps, we can do that. New title. Down here, here's a little bit more text. We can edit that. Checking this out. And then here's like a button that they're using. So we can click on the button, and we can say where we want this button to go. We can change the text in the button right there. Here's some more information, like the font style. It's using Railway. The color of the font, size of the line height, font size, just all of this different styling. If you want a little bit of extra styling, there's this little arrow next to the Style tab that if you expand it, it gives you some more options. Like this one looks like it has a 1 pixel border around it that's white. Then when you hover, you can choose this little option right here, hover, and say what it does. There's background, now it's got a white background. Change that kind of, the text color and all that. So that's kind of just some options there when you include a button. And so yeah, so using a template's really quick. You can go right in and just kind of swap things out that you want. Let's go back to all sliders, and we'll show how to set up a fresh new slider. So we find the option that says new slider. We'll click on the plus icon. We can actually choose like a content source. We can say I want my Facebook pictures to show on there, my Twitter stream, Instagram. You can say like maybe you have like blog posts. You have like you do blogging and you have a lot of blog posts. You can do a post based slider which rotates in your blog post, like probably showing like the featured image, title of the blog, maybe a little bit of the like the content text that's in there, stuff like that. Or you can just start with a default slider. Just do that. Give our slider a name. So we can do we'll just new slider. Enter slider alias here. This would just be like something like this, new slider. And then they give you the short code that you can put into your site. So then the short code, you would put it into a page, actually any spot you want. So you could just have like a nice little image gallery, maybe on your about page in some kind of column somewhere. Just have like a revolution slider that just has nice images sliding in and out, fading in and out, stuff like that. So wherever you put the short code, you can put that slider. And select the slider type. Standard slider lets you do more than one slide. So you can see how it's got the dots, the arrows, that kind of indicates that you can swap between slides. The hero scene is only mainly for one slide. It will only use the first slide. So if you have a slider that has maybe 5 or 6 slides, but it's the hero scene slider type, it'll only show the first slide. That's just what that's called. It's just called like a hero slide. Carousel is more of it's kind of what I was showing with that iPhone slider. It's just a carousel slider like that. You can just, it's like a kind of like a normal image slider where it just swaps between images and stuff like that. There are other options that you can choose from, stuff like this. Slider layout, we can make sure that it will auto expand within the content that it's in, or if we want it to do full width, you can see right here there's an example. Full screen, we can have the slider be the entire screen of whatever they're viewing it on, like this. You can see the examples down here. Or we can just do auto. Let's do full width. The layer grid size, you don't usually have to mess with this because it'll just automatically set up a grid that'll work on all devices, but you can also change that if you want. So maybe we don't want the slider to be this tall. We can then maybe reduce the height. Maybe let's do 600, like that. You can see it kind of reduced that. It reduced all the others to kind of make it consistent. Down here is just more of some advanced settings. Like you can add some custom CSS to the slider, just go further with the styling that you want it to do. And then the more options that we have are over here. We have some general settings. So all of these you can kind of are really self-explanatory, especially when you hover over them. There's a little description that shows right there that says what it does. So you can stop the slide when somebody hovers over it. It'll stop it from continuing. Stop slider after so many times of going through the slider. Shuffle random mode, you can random slides pop in. Loop single slide. Stop slider out of viewport. So out of viewport is when somebody would scroll down past the slider and it's no longer in their viewport of their device or their desktop or whatever they're using on, and it'll stop the slider from just continuing on. And actually that helps with site speed, because then if somebody's looking at stuff down further on the site, their browser's still not trying to keep the revolution slider going. Defaults, probably don't have to mess with these too much. These are just some basic transitions, animation duration, default slide duration. This is what you might want to adjust. Maybe this would equal 9 seconds for each slide. It goes by milliseconds, so 9,000 milliseconds would be 9 seconds for each slide. Progress bar, you can have the progress bar, which is that little bar at the top of the slider that slowly goes across as the slide's going, just kind of showing you how much time that slide has left. First slide, don't mess with that too much. Layout and visual, you can change the layout of the slider, so like you can give it a shadow underneath. Slider background, probably don't have to mess with that too much. The spinner, I usually turn this off actually. It's just kind of distracting. It's not really needed. I mean, if like the images or anything aren't showing up, it's obvious that it's loading. But you can always just have a default little thing. That's kind of a nice one to use too. It's not too distracting. So you can choose different spinners while it's loading. Mobile gives you little options. Position, don't have to mess with that too much. Navigation, this is where you can change the looks of like the arrows and the buttons and stuff like that. It shows, the different um, like navigation styles, arrow style. So you can change, there's different styles that you can choose from. That shows the example there on the left. So there's a lot to choose from. That one's pretty nice. It's just the default, arrows. Visibility, always show. You could say maybe no, but then when people hover over the slider, then the arrows pop up. So yeah, these are just a lot of different customizations that you can do. There's your bullets. Change the bullet style right there. Like that. Oh, that shows like a little thumbnail of the next slide. That's pretty cool. That shows them in the square form. So, yep, that's for the bullets. There's some tabs. You can enable tabs on there like that. That might look nice with like a blog slider, and it shows like an example of the next one coming up, stuff like that. Thumbnails, you can have thumbnails. They're basically what that tabs thing is. Instead of the buttons instead of the little circle buttons at the bottom, it'd be like a thumbnail image of the next slide or previous slides. Touch, you can enable touch for people on mobile if they just want to swipe the slides. This stuff down here probably don't need to mess with too much. This is just extra extra stuff to do with it. And then once we have our slider set up like that, we can save the settings. It'll save the slider, and then we can go into the slide editor and create our first slide. So we'll let that save. Okay, so it automatically went in. Here's our slide number 1. And so right off the bat, we can choose a background. Here's our main background. We can just have maybe a color. We can just have like a black background for now. Or we can choose like a background image. Go to our media library. Put that in there. There's our background image. This stuff, source settings is kind of if you want to adjust the background image, background fit. Basically, it should be cover, center, center. So that'll just put the image right in the middle and fit nice within the slider. Filters, you can actually add a filter to your image, which is pretty cool. Revolution slider has a lot of different ones. I know a lot of filters are being used nowadays. So it kind of looks pretty cool. General settings, slide delay, which is that how long it takes that slide to go to the next one. So you would go by milliseconds. So maybe we want this slide to be 6 seconds long. So we'd go 6,000 milliseconds, and that would be 6 seconds for this slide. Pause slider, you can pause the slider on that slide and make people manually go to the next one. Let's see. Yep, visible from, visible until. This is like you can set an expiration date for the slider. There's actually another tutorial just mainly for that, so that's a nice feature to use. You can have like ones that are just timed, maybe during like a certain sale. You're having a sale and you want it to start on a certain day and end on a day. Maybe it's going for just the weekend. Slide animation. You can choose what animation the slide will do on entry and on the exit. Fade is usually a pretty nice little transition to use, but there are a lot of different ones you can choose. As you can see, you can always do random, just choose a new like a random animation for each slide. And so that's about it for just setting up the slide. And then go down here, and this is where you can add your different layers, your different like objects. We can just plop some text right in there. Here is our, let's put page title. All right, and so now we have our page title text, and we want to align it right to the very middle. So let's do layer align center, layer align middle, and that puts it right in the middle of the slider. And from here we can change font size. Let's maybe make this pretty big. Give it text size, line height of that. Actually, we could probably go a little bit higher for this. And what the Revolution slider will do is when you have text or you have images, it's going to automatically reduce the size of them depending on what device or like how wide the slider is, or like if you're on a mobile, it's going to reduce the text a lot, or tablet, it's going to reduce it down a little bit compared to desktop, and it just does that to keep everything consistent and looking good. All right, so we've got page title there. Let's maybe add add a little image. Just put like this little heart icon there. Let's align it to the center like this one, but then we want to move it up just a little bit. So let's change the Y, the Y alignment, which is up and down. Let's put 150. Okay, so that put it that way. Let's put it above. So let's put it at negative 150. There we go. All right, let's change it to 50. Okay, so that'll work. Okay, so we've got our little icon on there. Add a new layer. We could do a button. We could add a little video clip, just different shapes. So yeah, there's just a lot of different customizations you can do. We'll align that there, and then for this one, let's move it down maybe 100 pixels. Okay, so we've got our button. We can go in and edit our button. Click me. And then we can say where we want this button to go after somebody clicks it. So when we click the button, go up to attributes, or actually, sorry about that, actions, do this little plus icon where it says click. We'll tell it to, either go to like the next slide, jump to the next slide, jump to a certain slide. There are, let's see, simple link right there, simple link. Maybe we can go to the about page. So here's the URL of the about page after .com. After .com, it's this. Same window, or we can open in a new window. It works best to do the A tag link. jQuery, I've noticed that it can mess up quite a lot, and the link sometimes doesn't work. So I would always do the A tag. And so then now when somebody clicks on that button, they'll take them to the about page. And that's kind of the basics of the slider. There's a lot of stuff that you can just kind of mess with and try it out, add some shapes. Maybe you want, actually a shape is good to add because then you can put that right behind the text. Like let's say something like this, maybe where you can't really see the text too well on the background image. So you can add maybe like a shape like this to the back of it. We just want to make sure that this shape is, let's put it right in the middle. There we go. And we want to make sure that the button is behind the text. So where's our shape? Here's our shape. Let's move it up. There. There it is. So we got our shape behind our title. Make it look, pops out a little bit better. So yeah, that's basically the Revolution slider. I know it's a long video, but there is quite a lot to the Revolution slider, and that was really just about the basics of it. So it's kind of a learning curve using it because there's just so much to do with it. But like the more that you play with it and the more that you edit it, try out different slides, different objects, different transitions, stuff like that, you get used to it really quick.